Oh, welcome to the Sharpe Show. So happy to have you with me this evening, right at 7 p.m. on the East Coast. And I know I was off yesterday. I was actually crazy busy. I was off for a couple of days, actually out doing a bunch of crazy things. But I have returned, barely made today's show, but I did make it at least. See, I'm trying to keep it at 7 p.m. Eastern every single day. My team has been bugging me to do so for literally months, months. And I have really been trying to make this happen. It has really been a pain in the butt. However, it is being done. So I'm very happy about that, guys. Thank you for joining me. I do want to bring up one of the reasons why I'm doing this show is because I tell you all the time that if you remember, you can submit different things when you look at. And someone submitted something to me that connected directly with something I saw on a mainstream news show this weekend. So they both connected. I said, that's the one, right? Those two connected, that's the one. And was the idea of Black Americans and the Democratic Party, and how most people still see to this day that most Black Americans still do vote for the Democratic Party. True, most still do. But that has been changing recently. And years ago, there was that Blexit movement, which was Black exit, right? Black people leaving, exiting the Democratic Party. And there was also the walkaway movement, which wasn't about Black people leaving, it was about people in general leaving Democratic Party. And I think that's been happening more and more. I do think you're seeing some of that. Overall, if I'm not mistaken, there are still more registered Democrats than Republicans in the country. I think that's still true. It was true as of last year. I still think that's true. But I think you are seeing a shift. But the shift is heavily in Black and Hispanic men. That's the biggest shift. Non-Black and Hispanic and women are still going left. So it isn't like it's just everyone's rushing away from the Democratic Party. It is a couple of groups are walking away and a couple aren't. Sorry, I got something in my nose all of a sudden. Anyway, so yes, I think that's happening. So I wanted to bring this up. This is from a couple days ago. And this is from a page called the #Walkaway Campaign. So, sorry, that's from Walkaway Campaign. I want to show you this. This was again sent to me from somebody, and it walks down a couple of roads that I really want to talk about. Some of the stuff this guy's saying is on the money. Some of it's not. Some of it's valid. Some of it isn't. So I want to bring this up because this is what a lot of people who want Black Americans to walk away, this is what they will say. These are common talking points. And I kind of want to cover these talking points.
Please help me understand Democrats, Black Democrats out there. I'm talking to you.
Okay.
Many of you, perhaps even most of you, constantly like to talk about the racist history of America and how terrible that history was.
Now, again, some people get mad when people bring up the negative history of America. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, but to his point, if you constantly hammer it home, it is a bad thing, right? I don't want to constantly hammer it home. You can acknowledge that it exists without having to hammer it home every 5 seconds.
It's a history that has a lasting impact, you say. It affects us even today.
True.
So rather than to embrace forgiveness, you all continually push to remind the world of America's racist history.
I think you can do both. And this is the part that bothers me. I think when it comes to many people on the right, it is very common for people on the right, not all obviously, I don't want to get to all, please come get me. But many people on the right just go, well, it doesn't matter, it's over. That was years ago. Slavery means nothing anymore. They just act like it doesn't matter. Who cares? And then the left is like, that's all that matters. Nothing can be changed except we have to talk about slavery every 5 seconds. So I think you can do both. You can say, yes, there's a bad path, clearly, and how do we get past it? And I think most people don't do that.
That seems to be the logic. Never let whites off the hook. But then,
not wrong.
How is it that you continue to vote for the Democratic Party, who by all historical accounts were the major purveyors of this history that you can't seem to forgive or get over?
True.
It was the Democrats who defended slavery, who formed the Ku Klux Klan and voted against any actions being brought against Klan-led violence.
Now, these facts he's bringing up are true, but to be very forward, the Democratic Party of today is not the Democratic Party of, the 1870s, of the 1920s. It just isn't. Now, is it still the same name? Yes. It's a different party. It just is. There was basically a swap in the 60s that made everything just swap. So it isn't the same party. So while he is factually correct, in practically he is not.
Violence. It was the Democrats who imposed segregation, who were against the Civil Rights Act, and it was the Democrats who were responsible for most of, if not all of the lynchings of blacks.
Now, that part's true. But now if you go past the 60s, you found most of the Republican Party that's against the Civil Rights Act, right? That's swapped completely. Totally swapped, right? Democrats are all for it. Republicans are completely against it, right? So who was more for the war on drugs? It was Republicans. Democrats are too, don't get me wrong. But who started it? Republicans started the war on drugs. Democrats started the war on poverty. Both crushed the black family. But so, yeah.
Somehow you seem to have forgiven and forgotten when it comes to Democrats. Yet you still press the issue of America's racist past, all while having your eyes glaze right over when reminded of the Democrats and that dirty detail of the past.
And that's the part where he's 100% correct. What I mean by that is, if you're going to use the past to trash people, I get it. You can do that. You kind of have to be, if you're going to use the past to trash, you've got to use the past, period. Right? If I'm going to say, hey, this is how I'm going to punish you because of the past, I got to punish everybody for the past, for what they've done. I got to do both. I'd rather do neither, but I get it.
The racism of today has gone underground, that it hides in the shadows. It's no longer out in the open. You just have to have faith that it's there.
This is the part that has wrecked us recently. And the problem with this is you have a bunch of people who I call, the race hustlers. And these are the Ibram X. Kendis of the world, right? There's so many of them. And now I want to shift to another piece, which is the elites versus the rank and file. Those two different pieces. They're both important. Let me touch both if I could. Racism, imagine if you would for a minute, if you could do this, that there was no war on poverty and there was no war on drugs. Didn't exist. Neither one happened. Instead, what we saw as Americans, when we saw the black community, was Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, the Jeffersons, Good Times, Cosby before his stuff, right? But him in a show, right? We saw Family Matters. That's what we saw, right? In TV time in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. That's what we saw. And there is no cops with a bunch of black people there. There's no gangster rap coming out because there's no war on drugs, so no gangster rap. Gangster rap is because the war on drugs doesn't exist. It's just like party rap, right? It's like MC Hammer, right? Like that. And Prince, like that's what black, it's like that. Michael Jackson before the stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's that, right? That's what it is. Imagine how America would look at the black community today. How they would look. Whole different look at the black community. Whole different look. Right? You'd be like, I don't care where they live. I don't care. You wouldn't care. Whatever, come out in my neighborhood. I don't care. Nobody would care. Be fine. Because you're waiting for Dr. Huxtable or Will Smith to show up, right? That's what you're waiting for. You're waiting for that. You wait for those people. You want Urkel to come by, live next to you. So you don't care. You're happy about it. Everyone would be happy about it. No issues at all. Everything would change. Those two things wrecked it. And here's why it got worse. Because while that got worse, there was an elite in the black community that got to the top. Some of you may remember this. There were Dr. Huxtables. Lots of them. There were. Most of them went to MSNBC, CNN, and places like that. They all went to Harvard. They went to Yale. And they're all in the elite areas, right? They're all in the elite areas of the country. Those people supposedly speak for the black community, don't they? That's what they tell us. They tell us they speak for the black community. That's what they say. Well, yeah. If I went to Harvard and Yale and whatever, and I got a nice job making 7 figures on MSNBC or CNN, I'd be like, America's great. What's wrong with you? Of course. But here's the best part. They show up and go, okay, I got to tell you something. I know I'm sitting here making 7 figures on CNN. I'm making 7 figures on MSNBC. But you know what America is? Psh, racist. I'm oppressed. You're oppressed? Yeah, I'm oppressed. You're oppressed. I'm oppressed. I have access to power. I make 7 figures a year. I can be with all the cool people I want, but I'm oppressed. Why? Because my skin is dark. I want that kind of oppression. Because people sometimes call me a bad word. But you make 7 figures a year, have access to power and access to everything you want, whether that is business, friendship, schooling, whatever. You have access to all those things. Yes, but I'm oppressed. Okay, how? Because I have dark skin and sometimes people call me a bad word. What? That's the problem that has popped up. So now you have someone like Ibram X. Kendi pop up, and he recognizes something. He recognized that now in the 2000s, even after cops, the war on drugs, the war on poverty, America actually isn't that racist. There again, and with the old police come after me, clearly there are racists in America. Clearly they exist. Please don't give me the old police. But America as a whole, not so racist. Damn. We actually voted for a black president twice. Black people in Congress, black people in the Senate. Yeah, black Republican J.C. Watts in the Senate years ago. Damn, in the 90s. Damn, okay. Making tons of money. Maybe we're not as racist as I thought we were. Not just that, mixed marriages exploding all over the place. Maybe we're not as racist as we thought we were. Okay, you know what? I got the plan. Here's the plan. See, it's not enough if you're not racist. You got to be anti-racist, or it's hidden racist. That's what this man's talking about right now. That's what he's talking about right now. Mike brings it up. Thank you, Mike, for bringing it up. Kendi is a huge racist group. 100%. You should do opposite anything that makes him. Yes, I 100% agree. He is one of the worst black people in this country. I'll say it openly. One of the worst in this country. He has done so much to damage the black community. So much. He has damaged America, damaged the black community, and sadly, white people, I'm sorry, he has hurt you too, because he's made you think that you're racist when you're not. He has. He's made you think that you are, terrible when you're not. Yeah. So yeah, he's hurt you too. Yes, 100%. So Mike's on board with that 100%. So, all right. Duke Effect says, what's your opinion of Charleston White? Am I supposed to know who Charleston White is? I don't know who he is. I'm sorry. I'm supposed to know who he is. That's the kind of stuff that I bring up all the time, guys. This type of question, I don't know. You can give me something. Doesn't mean anything. I don't know. Nice name, I guess. I don't know who he is. You got to give me something. There's so much stuff that goes on, so much stuff. I get this often. I'm not mad, Duke. I'm letting you guys know. I can't answer a question like that. I don't know who he is. I guess you know. Is he popular? I don't know what he is. I have no idea. I'll look. I'll Google now. You guys, make me do goddamn homework. Do homework. Who the hell is Charleston White? Charleston White. Don't know. I don't know who the guy is. So what's my opinion? I don't know. Sorry, Duke. I want to give you an answer. I don't know who he is. So sorry. I guess I should know, but I don't. So any case, let me keep going if I could. All righty. Let's see here. Someone's asked me to read the poll. Okay, hold on. And there's a poll too. You guys got me all doing work today. What do you guys got me doing work today? All right. Is the poll on Sharpe? Let me check it. If I can go to it now. You guys got me all doing work. All right. Okay, here's a poll. Okay, there's a poll on my YouTube page says, on the Sharpe YouTube page, does a history of wrongs mean the minorities of today owe votes to any political party? Yes, to any political party that fought the wrongs. No, present does not depend on the past. Minorities are not a monolith. Minorities owe Democrats votes. So please pick one of those if you would. Head on over there and vote on that if you would, right? Does a history of wrongs mean that minorities today owe votes to any political party? Option 1, yes, to any political party that fought wrongs. 2, no, present does not depend on the past. 3, minorities are not monoliths. 4, minorities owe Democrats votes. There we go. You can ask that. There we go. Perfect. Okay, so now we got that down. Did I do my homework right? Okay. Oh, good. Let me keep going on this if I could.
Okay. If that's the case, could it be that the same racism that you believe is hiding right within the party that you vote for every single election?
Now, this is why I bring this up. Do I think the average Democrat feels this way? I don't. I know many Democrats. I live in New York City. I know many of them. I don't think they do. I don't. I think the average Democrat is just as nice or as good or as caring as the average Republican. I think there's no difference in the average rank and file voter. Democratic elites are absolutely racist. I don't mean to be mean. They absolutely are. It's true. Clearly. Not even, yes, absolutely. Now, don't get me wrong. All the elites of the Republican Party are racist too. Yes, but in a different way. I'm going to be very forward. A different way. If you look at Republican elites, they care far more about culture than they care about race, about skin color. Now, there's still a form of xenophobia, from racism. Yes, the elites are always that way, right? But theirs is far more culture. Democrats is actually based upon skin color. There's a difference. There's an actual difference.
By definition, racism is one race thinking that it's superior to another. Now, preferential treatment is given to those that white Democrats think of as being incapable of competing with them on a level playing field.
Okay, while that's true, he's making it sound like it is by default mean. It isn't by default mean. It may be. Do I think Biden, as an example, in his later years, actually thought, I want to hurt the dumb black people? No, I don't think he thought that. I think he thought in his head, well, us white people were better than them, so we have to help them. I think he actually thought that, which is better than them. That's how it works. And that's terrible. But there's a difference in being bad because of ignorance or because of apathy versus being bad because I don't like those black people. That's all I'm saying. I'm saying there's a difference. He's making it sound like they're actively saying, I want to get him. I think most Democrats don't care at all about that. I think most think they're doing the right thing. I think many of them believe, well, no, because, and he's been saying it, because Ibram X. Kendi taught me that by default, if your skin is dark, you are by default a disadvantage. You're by default a victim. That's what Ibram X. Kendi has taught them in these high-level schools for decades now. Well, yeah, of course. What else would you think? What else would you think? Of course, it makes total sense. And if you believe that, you're not being mean. You're trying to help out the black people because Ibram X. Kendi is a black guy. He told you how to help them out. That's what he said.
So if white Democrats think that they have a superior ability over blacks when it comes to getting something as simple as an ID to vote, then that's racist by definition.
Another piece, a good point, right? Well, I can't get an ID. Why? Because you're black, because clearly you're not using a computer, which Kathy Hochul literally said that. So yes. And do I think Kathy Hochul wants to hurt black people? I don't. I don't think she's like, I'm going to get these. I do not think that at all. Do I think she was raised with identity politics? Yes. I think she's raised with that. And this idea that, well, black people by default are in trouble. So, right. What did Biden say? Poor kids are just as smart as white kids. That's his words. Now, do I think he was trying to harm black kids? I don't think he was trying to harm them. Doesn't mean he didn't or wasn't. But I think it's like, well, no, I'm just helping them because they're in trouble. They can't do anything. I think Hochul thinks the same way. I don't think she's trying to harm. She's harming. She's not trying to. And intent does matter. It's a difference between murder, right? And the difference between murder and manslaughter is intent. While they're both horrible crimes, they are different. One is worse. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Phil over on Rumble says, do you think about the Democrats mostly have the same policies as in the 1930s? Do you think about the Democrats mostly have the same policies as the 1930s? Zoning, minimum wage, and other policies that have had some racist elements originally, even if they're sanitized. Well, I think a part of that's accurate, right? Democrats have always thought that government is the answer to fix things, right? That's the answer. The government can fix it. Is a problem? Government will fix it, right? That's what you do because government is the people and government has power. So government can fix things. And I think many Democrats, the average Democrat, honestly believes that. I think if you ask the average Democrat in the street, we have a problem. Should government fix it? Like, yeah, government, give them money. They'll fix things. They think they believe that. I mean, clearly it's not true, but I think they believe it. Democrats have been saying, let's fix things with the government. So when you have a racial problem, what do you do? Government fixes it. So I think that part, yes. I think they wind up making things worse. So yeah. Any case, I hope that answers your question.
If a white Democrat thinks that blacks need lower standards than whites to get into college or to get a job, then that's racist by definition.
True, but again,
if a white Democrat thinks that they have to help you with every little thing that you do or any little misstep that you've had because they hold you to a lower standard.
Okay, see, that part's not accurate. This part's not accurate. I get what he's saying, but most Democrats who think this don't think they hold you to a lower standard. They feel like you have been wronged and they want to right the wrong. So the emotion here is incorrect. The outcome is correct, right? He's correct with his outcome. But the emotion here is not that. The average Democrat doesn't say, we have to help black people because they're inferior. That's not what they think. The average Democrat says, we have wronged them, us evil people, as even ex-Kennedy has taught us, literally in the highest levels for years, taught us this. So therefore, we must right the wrong. That is what they're thinking. So just for clarity, why does it matter? This? Some of you might go, why do I care what they think? Because how do you change their minds if you don't know how they think? How can you move them if you don't have empathy to understand why they think the way they think? That's the reason. I can yell at them and go, they're dumb Democrats. That's not helpful. That's not helpful. But if I can understand them, I can have the conversations. I hope you like what we're talking about, guys. And when I bring this piece up about the conversations, understand that the way we can have more of them is by you clicking the button known as Lima, India, Kilo, Echo. Please click it if you would. It does matter tremendously. If you can share this someplace, please share it. My team tells me all the time, Larry, people love when you talk about race. So I talk about race sometimes. I'm not afraid to talk about it. Some people are. I'm not. I'm happy to talk about it. I don't mind at all. So I'm doing a race show again. Some of you guys like it, some of you don't, but I'll do it. So there we go. So do me a favor then. Return the favor. Click the like button. Share or repost it someplace. Put it into a Facebook group. Share on X. Share it someplace if you would. And also, of course, please follow me if you would on Facebook, X, and Rumble. Trying to grow my Rumble. It is so hard to grow Rumble. If you guys haven't gone over, please head over there. I'm almost at 500. Trying to get past 500 on Rumble. Rumble is a growing platform. If you guys could help out, that would really help me out a lot. So please head on over there if you would. And follow me in those places. Also repost this and share it. And of course, click the button known as like.
And have lower expectations of you, then they do not think of you as being at the same level as they are.
Yes, however, again, I have to clarify. If you're talking to a Democrat and you go, you're a racist Democrat, they're not going to hear you. If you go to a Democrat and go, you know, what you're saying makes me feel like you think I'm inferior, they will go, what? That's not what I'm saying. You see the difference? Now, you might be saying, but Larry, don't Democrats call everybody an Islamophobe? Yes, and it's bad and doesn't work. So please don't copy them, right? He's copying them. And I get why you would say that because it feels good to call them that. And I sometimes go close, as I always go, gun control is racist. I don't call the individual racist. I call the policy racist. There's a difference, right? I want to use it. I want them to show that what they're doing is bad. I don't want to call them an Islamophobe, even though they call everybody in the world that. We don't want to copy that. He's kind of doing that.
That is them thinking that they're superior to you. And that is the very definition of the word racism. So, to my Democrat Black Americans, please consider this. Consider that racist boogeyman that you say is lurking in the darkness. Consider that you are the ones in the dark sleeping with that enemy. You've been in bed with this brand of racism for a long time.
Now, that's true. That's true. Now, I'm going to go to the Republican side too. It's not like Republicans are that much better. Republicans really have done almost nothing in return, just nothing. And the example I'll give you is Trump. Why? Why has Trump been the anomaly that has shown so many Hispanics and Black people who vote for Trump? Are his policies so pro-Black or pro-Hispanic? No. Are his policies so special for Black people or Hispanics? No. What did he do? He just reached out to Hispanics and Black people. That's it. That's what he did. You might go, what? That's not great. It isn't. But compared to all the other Republicans who basically have ignored black people and have ignored us, well, not Hispanics as much, but have ignored black people for literally decades, just ignored them. Trump just going, hey, I'll go to the Bronx. Let's talk. Black people are like, oh my God, this dude, he showed up. Oh my God. That's how low the bar is. The Democrats have been so bad to the black community that they don't even bother showing up every 4 years and they pretend like they care. They don't. The Republicans are like, I can't win this, so I don't care. The Republicans don't show up at all, not even every 4 years. At least Democrats show up every 4 or 2 years. They would show up every 2 years, act like they care. Every 4 years, act like they care, whatever. Republicans didn't bother showing up. So Trump shows up, and they're like, you see this dude? And all of a sudden, they're like, this guy's great. That's how low the bar was. So, yeah. Phil says, policy doesn't need to be racist if the outcomes are. But that's how I define it, right? They have racist or racial, whatever you want to call it, outcomes. And you find some people on the right who can't stand that. They will tell you all the time, no such thing as systemic racism. For those of you who think there's no such thing as systemic racism, I did a show on this because Ben Shapiro says there's no such thing as of systemic racism. We did a show on it. Look on my YouTube channel for Ben Shapiro and Larry Sharpe, and I literally just chopped down how he's utterly wrong. Not even close. Of course it exists. To your point, Phil, if a policy creates a racist outcome, the policy creates the system, which then creates the outcome, which is racist, creating a systemic racist outcome. Make it systemic racist. Of course it does. Now, the issue here behind this is the Democrats have screwed this up completely. They've said, there's systemic racism, you're all racist. You can't have both. Either the policies, to your point, Phil, create racist outcomes, making systemic racism, option one, or people are racist and they're just going to make stuff racist. I've been saying for years, Americans relatively are not racist. Again, compared to other countries, go to other countries. I'm not saying that, well, we should be like them. No. I'm saying we should judge ourselves by our peer group. That's the fairest way of doing it. Go to other nations who are in a similar economic or social status as we are, and look how racist they are compared to us. We're doing just fine. Now, our systems are garbage. That's true. But the individuals aren't. That's the point. If you change the system, you will change the racism because the people already aren't racist. That's the point. That's why you want to change systems. That's why. The problem is because Democrats say the country's inherently racist. Not true. That's not a thing. That's not true. Or the country's inherently misogynistic. Not true. It's data is in. I'll go back to it again. 2016, the majority of voters voted for Hillary Clinton. Now, Hillary lost because of the Electoral College, but America voted for Hillary Clinton. We already voted for a woman president 9 years ago. We already did. It's not a thing. One of the most popular Democrats right now, AOC. Not a thing, right? Not a thing. Anyway, I'm sorry, but the system can be and is, in many cases, it is. If the outcome's racist and the policy's racist, system's racist. So change the policy. The war on drugs is racist. Now, you're seeing it now start to affect white people more, but it clearly was racist. Clearly it was. The 100,000 cops, the crime bill from 1992, racist. Of course it was. Does that mean every cop is racist? Of course not. Of course they're racist cops because it's racist everything. Again, I don't want the old police coming after me. But yes, thank you for that. I appreciate it for $2, man. I appreciate that. It's good. It's a good point.
It's a brand of racism so far underground that it's used your own hypersensitivity towards racism against you. It's used that same hypersensitivity about racism to convince you that everyone else is racist but them.
There's the other part too. Because I'm going to go one step further. Not only is everybody else racist but them, it goes so far as to say everyone's racist, including them. Yes. Including them. Therefore, they must atone for their sins. See, that's the point that this gentleman is actually missing. If I can say that everybody's racist, including me, I now have to atone for my sins. How to do that? By giving you something special. By getting the government to give you money. See, I'm atoning for my sins. Are you? I'm better than you. I mean, we're clearly both racist, but I'm getting the government to write checks to black people. Therefore, I am better than you. I wish I was joking. That's honestly how people think. That's a real thing. Yes. So I'll go further than him. Everybody's racist, even me. I just got to be able to fix it because I'm better than you because I force government to give you checks. See? Or I do things like I force the government to do things like do like a land acknowledgement. See, I'm better than you. That's how that actually works.
They are to be trusted, forgiven, defended, and voted for. And meanwhile, those who want to treat you equally or simply by the content of your character instead of your skin color, that those are the racists.
Duke of X says, what do you think? Thank you for the $5. The Black Panther Party did wrong, and how could it have served the Black community better? Wow, that is a great. It's a tough one because they were just screwed. When the FBI targets you for assassination, which they did, and again, is that systemic racism? The FBI murdered the leadership of the Black Panther Party. I will say it on YouTube. I don't care if it get canceled. That absolutely happened. There's no doubt it happened. Look at the homework. That's what happened. They literally murdered the leadership of the Black Panther Party. They were murdered, not like killed in a shootout or whatever. The government did that. How do you get around that? It's a tough thing to do. I guess maybe if you look at maybe what the Black Panther Party could have done was maybe have more white allies. And I may be stretching on that one, Duke. I don't really know if there's maybe have more white allies so they could have, this is the 60s. So they could have been more press and more coverage of the positive things they were doing. Maybe. I mean, it's hard, right? What, for those of you who know, the Black Panther Party, particularly in California, was trying to create a self-sufficient Black community. That was what they were actually trying to do. They were called a terrorist group by the U.S. government. Absolutely not true. Utter garbage. Not true. Now, were some of them communists? Yes, but they were, again, what we would say, voluntarily communists, voluntarily socialists. They wanted the Black people to be like the Amish, which is fine. They weren't trying to overthrow the government. Did many of them want the Black community to be a more socialistic or communistic community similar to the Amish? Yes, that's accurate, 100%. So if some people call them socialists or communists, there were many of them who were. Not all, but many were. That's true. But they weren't trying to make you that. They wanted to create basically the Black Amish. Why do you care? Good. It's voluntary. You want to do it. Go become Black Amish. What do I care, right? Fine. But the idea was stop relying upon the government, stop relying upon the white man, and instead build your own communities out. And what happened every single time, and it was government that did this, Duke. Government destroyed every single time the Black community tried to make itself self-sufficient. Every time. Every time. That's the origins of gun control. That's why I say it's racist. The origin of gun control is to keep the Black communities down. And of course, now white people get messed with it because yeah. So how did I don't know, maybe more white allies that could have gotten them more press to see what they were doing, because they were doing other things, not just, being aggressive, but they were trying to protect their own communities. They're trying to keep out drugs out of their own communities. That's what they're trying to do. Obviously it didn't work. They were feeding the Black Panther Party did not want Black America on welfare. Do your homework. I'm not making this up. They did not want Black America on welfare. That is why they took and raised money and they fed their own children. That's a real thing. They were giving breakfast to the kids before they went to school in their poor communities. The Black Panther Party was doing that. They did not want the Black community dependent upon the government. That was what they wanted. That's why they had to be ended. You can say whatever you want. Say, I'm making it up. Liars, conspiracy theorists. I don't care. Do your own homework? There's movies on it. There's books on it. You can do a Google search on it. Everywhere. Absolutely true. The Black Panthers Party's goal was to not make the Black community relying upon the government, to rely upon their own community. Because of that, some of them absolutely were socialists and communists. That's true. Some of them were. Many of them were actually socialists. That's true. But again, so what? They weren't trying to make you that. They weren't trying to overthrow the government. They want to basically create the Black Amish. We can't do that. You got to die. And so they did. I don't know how you could get around that, Duke. I wish I had an answer for that. The only thing I could say is maybe more white allies, maybe. If they would have had more white allies, which is hard, right? It's hard to have white. It's like the Amish having more non-Amish allies. But if they would have had more white allies, then maybe there would be more white people physically there. So it wouldn't have been as obvious and easy to do the attacks that the government did. It wouldn't be as easy to get rid of them, I think. But then again, more white allies, are they infiltrators? Are they not infiltrators? I mean, and then the concept, this is the problem. The concept, Duke, was the Black Panther Party didn't want Black America dependent upon white America. So if you're part of that movement by default, you don't want the white man as an ally because you're like, oh, see, you relied upon the white man again. So the ideology that it takes to create and deal with the Black Panther Party by default is going to push away white allies by default. So maybe nothing, but I think the best option, in my view, that if looking back with hindsight, would have been getting more white allies. So it would have been harder for the government to destroy you. They might still not have done it, but I mean, it would have been a whole lot harder. You also might have got some more cash in, but again, you get cash in, people go, wait a minute, oh, is this just the white man controlling us anyway? Right? That's an issue. So, Duke, it's a good question. I wish I had. That's two questions you gave me I didn't have a good answer to tonight. All right. Sorry, brother. I'm just telling you the truth. I'm trying to give you what I can give you as honesty. I'm not sure that was a great answer, but it's just they can't have foreign allies, right? Because then that's worse. Because now they're bad guys, right? If they had like Chinese or Russian allies or whatever, they can't have that. So no, that can't do that either. So yeah. Phil goes on to say, $2. The FBI infiltrated Malcolm X. Oh yes, all these people, Black Panther Party, MLK. Yes, they had to get rid of him. These Malcolm X. Why was MLK the last to really be wrecked? Because MLK was fine until MLK started talking about making America socialist, which he did talk about at the end, and ending the war in Vietnam. At that point, MLK became a problem. Can't mess with the military industrial complex and talk about making the government more socialist. You got to go, right? Yes. But yeah, the other guys, yeah, they had to go when they started saying, "Oh no, Black America needs to be, be on its own." No, you're gonna be dependent upon the government, which too many are. That's true. So thank you for that. Wow, what went down a long road here.
Thomas Sowell may have put it best when he said, when people get used to preferential treatment, equal treatment seems like discrimination.
This is true. This is true. I deserve it. See, I deserve it. So if you don't give me what I want that I deserve, now I'm being discriminated against. True.
The Democrats have been offering you preferential treatment for over 4 decades in exchange for your votes. Since then, everything has gotten worse.
Is that wrong?
Yet you still forgive and still forget. Perhaps it's time to walk away. Walk away from the party that's been working overtime to conceal its racist past and present.
I'm not sure about that piece either. I disagree with that. I think they haven't. The reverse. And this is 5 days ago. If you look at what's happened right now in the Democratic Party, it's the reverse. The Democratic Party is it flagellating? Is that what it is? When you're beating yourself over the back right there, they're punishing themselves. See, I'm so evil, I'm so racist. So they're actually open. They're not concealing it. They're like open on it. They're open on it.
Walk away from those who do not consider you to be competent enough to compete with them. Perhaps it's time to consider another option. Perhaps it's time to consider culture.
Yes, I would agree. However, it doesn't mean you go Republican. Just to be very clear. Doesn't mean you go Republican. I agree with what he's saying. Doesn't mean you go Republican. I think there are other options for you out there besides that. I'm a little bit biased, obviously, but just because I'm biased doesn't mean I'm wrong. Just means I'm biased. So yeah, that part I thought was interesting. Someone sent me that. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. I have one more I'm going to show you. But first, speaking about Thomas Sowell, he brought up Thomas Sowell. And for those of you who don't know, Thomas Sowell is one of the savviest, smartest libertarian thinkers in the country. I would argue probably the best Black libertarian thought leader in the country, if not the world, but definitely the country, if not the world. Why does that matter? Because you know where you can find a whole bunch of Thomas Sowell? You already know what I'm going to say. It is, of course, uncivil. Of course it's uncivil because civil has all the cool things. Oh, absolutely. Right here. Common Sense in a Senseless World. Pop up on Civil and watch it. It's about an hour long, but it talks about the man himself. People don't realize Thomas Sowell's been doing this for like 40 years, maybe 50. He's done this forever. He's an older gentleman now, older than I am, but he's been doing it for a long time. Again, free to choose media, which is wonderful.
Notion that the black family has always been disintegrating, that is nonsense. That his studies go up to 1925. The great bulk of black families were intact, two-parent families up through 1925, and going all the way back through the era of slavery. So it is now only within our own time that we suddenly see this inevitable tragedy, which the welfare system says it's going to rush in to solve.
It's been 40 years since the show aired, and Thomas...
40 years since that show aired. He said this 40 years ago. Do you know how prescient that is? Do you know how bold that was for a black man to go on TV and say that? Crazy. Crazy. Thomas Sowell deserves nothing but our respect, nothing but our admiration, and you can hear what he has to say on Civil. Head over to Civil when you have a chance. You know, I'm on it, right? I've been very happy to be part of Civil. I'm on there. You can head over there if you want to. Watch my Wednesday show. Wednesday show is only on Civil. And we are changing up to Civil, by the way. We are changing it up. We are making Wednesdays on Civil. We can fix it Wednesdays. Yes, we're going to talk about how we can fix things. But I'll give you answers on Wednesday on Civil, 7 p.m. on Civil. And this Wednesday is in 2 days from now, Spike Cohen's on with me, talking about how local things can get fixed. You are the power. Amazing. Nothing but wins. God just keeps winning. So I'm going to show you how he makes those wins. Head over to Civil, CIVL.com. That is CIVL.com. We are upgrading Civilization over there. When you go to log in, upper right hand corner, when you put your name in, click that little green fuzzy piece, click that piece and put in Larry, Larry, all caps, gives you 50% off for the entire year. That means you get the entire year for $25. You get Thomas Sowell for a year for $25? Are you crazy? Are you crazy? And you get me too for $25 a year? Come on now. Come on now. CIVL.com. Promo code Larry, Larry. I'm part of Civil on Wednesdays. You can see it. He's talking about Thomas Sowell, and so am I. One of the best black libertarian thinkers in the planet. One of the best. And 40 years ahead of the curve. 40 years ahead of the curve. Can't beat it. Civil. Appreciate it, guys. Don't forget, click the like button. This Wednesday, again, as I said, you will see Himir, me, and Spike Cohen here next Wednesday. All right, let me grab a couple more comments. So many comments. I want to grab some of these if I can. There's so many comments. I do want to grab them. Vivek says, libertarians or Republicans, most likely, preferably libertarian. Look, the reality of it is, this is years ago, probably in the 90s, I said this. It was late 90s, people saying, Larry, what are we going to do about, this and that? Just talking trash to my friends and such. And I said, you know what? Probably like 98 or something. I was like, you know what? Every black person, like one time, to like vote Republican. You're like, what? Yeah, why would vote Republican? They hate us. They're racist. That's what I was getting. And I was like, we should just, like one time, just all vote Republican. Like, why? If every black person vote Republican just one time, Republicans might go, oh, wait, what? I can get these votes? I can get these votes? Let me go in and talk to some black people. I did not get these votes. I thought I couldn't get them. I'm not going to. Okay. And Democrats go, whoa. I can lose these votes? I better go help some black people out. I can lose these votes? I can't believe it. No one listened to me back in 1998. But I was thinking that back then. I was like, maybe we can get them to actually care about us. That'd be nice, right? No. Now it's happening. Now it's happening. You don't have to vote Republican anymore. I wasn't libertarian back then. I didn't know what the hell I was. I was voting for like Nader and Perot back then. But now I'm libertarian. So, Vivek, I'm going to go libertarian, not Republican. Go libertarian. Go libertarian. Yes, because you know what? If anyone, if there was a party the Black Panther Party would have voted for, it'd been libertarians. I'm not joking. Because libertarians wouldn't care about the government controlling them. Libertarians would let them create the Black Amish. Do it. Good luck with that. Leave you alone. Absolutely true. So they would have voted libertarian, right? Malcolm X, guaranteed would have been libertarian. 100% would have been libertarian. Absolutely. Frederick Douglass, libertarian. Guaranteed libertarian. 100%. No doubt. So, yeah, libertarian hero. I agree. So, Phil, thank you for the $1 over on Rumble. Thomas Sowell is a radical if you read him correctly. He points to Jews, Germans, and Chinese who are prospered in spite of racism with parallel systems. Truly radical. Yes. Absolutely true. I agree. So, Kintsugi says, oh, how are you, Kintsugi? It would be in their best interest. I don't think most people know about third parties. And there are a lot of stereotypes about Republicans. Just speaking from my own life / family members. Agreed. This is a big deal. There are still many Black people in America who can't vote for Republicans because they've been told their entire life, well, they're racist. So how could I? I think it's a valid point. Yes. And don't get me wrong. Again, some of their leaders 100% are. But the average Republican, this is why Ibram X. Kendi is such a bad thing. This is why I hammer him so badly. The average American, Republican or Democrat, doesn't care about race at all. Doesn't care. Whatever, don't care. And that's all you're supposed to be as an American. I don't have to embrace people of other races, creeds, or colors. I don't have to embrace them. I have to simply leave them alone. That's what I have to do. Leave them alone. I don't have to embrace them. I hope you embrace other people of creeds and colors and backgrounds. I hope you do. Not required. Not required. All that's required is leave them alone. That's it. But when that was happening, the race hustler said, wait a minute. If we just like leave people alone, that's going to make people think that America is not racist. And I can't get paid. Let's fix that. And that's how that began to work. Because America just didn't care. I completely agree. But here's the worst part. I warned you people on the right. I told you that if you, and this is off topic, but you'll see where I'm going with it. I warned you on the right. I said the worst thing that can happen for you is overturning Roe v. Wade. They're like, no, that's what we're trying to do. Worst thing can happen. I said, once you, and I'm on record. If you guys pay attention to me, I'm on record saying this. If you overturn Roe v. Wade, is what I told people, you're going to see America change from not caring about abortion. Most Americans don't care about abortion. Oh, didn't care. Didn't affect them, didn't care. Most Americans are like, oh, whatever, okay. I guess it's the law of the land or whatever. I just didn't care. You're going to find people all of a sudden become not pro-choice, but actually pro-abortion. You're going to watch Americans believe that if you are pro-life, you are by default anti-woman. They're going to believe that. That's going to happen. And what has happened? Exactly that. You have women now who go up with their shirts saying how many they had. They become pro-abortion. Of course. Why? Because when you push people, there's a backlash. So don't push them. Leave them alone. And they'll eventually come to an answer on their own, as most people do. But when you push, there's a backlash. Race, same thing. When you started seeing people who just didn't care about race, they were like, whatever, I don't care. They may not embrace another ethnic background, but they're not attacking or hurting or harming. They just live in their life. If the guy who serves them, in their diner is black or Hispanic or white or gay or straight, they don't care. Just fine, whatever. The cop who helps them, the fireman that comes to, they don't care, whatever. They don't care. Now, they may not want to embrace that ethnic background. They may not want to, but they're not going to fight or stop it. They don't care, whatever. Live their life. They're trying to pay their own bills. Now, obviously, you tell them, oh, but if you don't embrace, then see, if you're not anti-racist, then you're racist anyway. You're still racist anyway. Now they're mad. That's what happened. Completely agree. So, yes. Rich says he's angry at the stupid administration. Yeah. You're not alone. You're not alone. Joel says, I haven't seen any actual race-based reason to be in or out of any political party. Then you either don't deal with many black people or aren't black yourself, or maybe just don't want to hear what they're saying. Many people are giving race-based reasons. Many people are. It's all over the place. Oh, maybe you just don't believe them. Okay, that could be that you just don't believe their reasons. But I see all the time. Watch MSNBC for an hour. They'll give you like 7. Maybe I'm exaggerating. Maybe they'll give you 3, but at least 3. They'll give you tons of reasons. They're all over the place. Yes. So Liberty says, I love consistency. I know. I'm trying to do 7 every day. I am. Mike says, even Stephen A. Smith, a joke of a potential candidate, admits that black voters need to give up on Dems to get respect and be taken seriously. That was my point, Mike. Yes. I'm saying libertarian, but yes, that's my point. Yes. John says, Dems don't care about black people, neither does the GOP. They're pawns as far as the parties are concerned. Also true. Agreed. Yes, agreed. Rick says, I'm all for not being able to figure out people about the color of their skin. Me too, Rick. I'm with you on that one. Yes, I agree. Yes. How about we do what MLK said, the content of their character? I like that. Yes, completely agree. I like that very much. All righty. Mike says, so far this guy's accurate and true. I give you my 2 cents on that one. So yes. Dave says, both parties are different. True. It's accurate. Yes, it's true. They happen to swap. So it's Missy's B-Day. She's 29 years old today. Thank you, Missy. Oh, you 21, 29? Something like that. I'm a little older. That's all I'm saying. A little bit, not too much. A little bit. So yes. All righty. Literally says, you can't touch this. You know that you know you're saying it when you read it. Yes, it's yes. That's funny. But imagine if MC Hammer was what black music was back in the 80s and 90s, right? It wasn't gangster rap. It was Prince and MC Hammer, right? A whole different world. Imagine that. A whole different world. I completely agree. Yes. Patty says, I have people of almost all races and religions in my family. I've tried to accept all the differences and similarities. As long as you haven't hurt others, I accept you. And that's the point, right? I talk about tolerance versus embracing or acceptance. The only responsibility you have as an American is to tolerate. And some people don't like that. It bothers people. But that's your responsibility. Why is it your responsibility? Because in our founding documents, life, so don't kill anybody. Liberty, leave them alone. Pursuit of happiness, allow them to do things. That's your responsibility. That's it. You don't have to marry them. You have to hang out with them. You have to talk to them. You have to make them friends. You don't got no. Now, the laws made us have to hire people we don't like. That's the law. But the Constitution, it's unconstitutional. It's blatantly unconstitutional. But doesn't matter. It's the law of the land. No judge is going to go, it's unconstitutional. Well, some of us don't think of it, but it is. So you're not required to. You should not be required to hire them. You are, but you should not be required to hire them. You should be. Your responsibility is don't hurt them, kill them, or take their stuff. Leave them alone. That's your responsibility. If you want to embrace them, you may. I hope you do. I do. Patty, I know you do. I would like all of you to embrace. You're not required to. You're required to tolerate and leave people alone. If you don't do that, you're in the wrong. Right? If you stop people, harm them, take their stuff, you're in the wrong. If you don't do that, you're good. So John says, oh, yes, Coates is another modern day race hustler. Yes, I remember that guy. Yes. So much. Yes. You know what? There are many, but Ibram X. Kendi was like the poster child. That's why I always use him. But there are many. You're right. There are many. Yes. Absolutely. All righty. Move down here. Dave says, I don't think the elites, those with power, are racist. Elites have the power. They play the race card one way or another to enter the base. Oh, interesting. I like that concept. They're more about well, there's an old saying, right? The people on top of a ideology don't believe the ideology. So yeah, maybe they play the game. They play the game known as identity politics. Why do I bring that up? Why do I bring up identity politics? Okay, this is why I'm bringing up identity politics, because if you are able to take yourself over to theadvocates.org, you can click the link that literally is in the description on YouTube, the description on Rumble, and the description on Facebook. Head on over, you click that link specifically. You click that link, head on over there, and then go over to quizzes and apps. Head over to single issue surveys. When you do that, scroll on down to identity politics and political correctness. Take that survey. It's a quick quiz, couple of minutes only, right? Question like this. Claims about systemic racism should prominently be supported by the best available statistics and evidence, accepted as the voice of the oppressed and lived experience, downplayed because such claims are getting overblown, right? What is your thought process on this? Click one of those. When you're done clicking on that, go to the next question. Go through and see where you pop up on this. And when you're done, share it. I keep asking you to share it. This one costs you nothing. This just takes some cool time, answer some questions, and makes you think. And this one, which one do you think? Is it all of them? Some of them? Which one? Which one's closest to what you think? Take this test. When you're done, share it. Use the link that I gave you in either on the Sharpe Way YouTube page, or on Facebook, or on Rumble. All of those is there. All of them, they're all there. Please click that one, head on in, take this test, and then share your results. Let other people jump on board. In fact, put this quiz into some kind of group or thread where people are talking about race. Put it in there. Identity politics, put it in there. Identity politics is a big deal. It's kind of going away a little bit. But the advocates give you the conversations you need. Everything I talk about here is about conversation. Ending and not having a conflict machine, the left, right fighting each other, but instead having conversations. These quizzes, as simple as they are, as short as they are, they're the things that get us talking. I want you to do me a favor. Head on over there if you can. Click that link. Take that and then share it. It's free. It is simple. It's as easy as clicking a like button. It's free. It helps the show out tremendously. It helps us move this entire conversation forward. Please grab it if you can. I would appreciate it. Thank you, guys. It's theadvocates.org, by the way. Click the button that I talked about. So, all righty. Move down here if I can. You guys going back and forth a lot. Mastermind says, not only should all blacks leave the Democratic Party, all whites leave them too. That goes double for Republicans. Yes. Leave all of them. I agree. All they've done is yell other guy bad forever. All they've done is yelled other guy bad forever. They keep yelling other guy bad. And for what? Yes, 100%. John says, the best discussion you did on race was a few years back with Eric July and Maj Touré. Yes, we do have some good ones. Yes. Yeah, I mean, these are good. Yes, the back and forth matters. One of the reasons, John, that I do the race talks is so that people can feel comfortable talking about race. The problem is most people feel like if they talk about race, there's going to be some backlash. They're going to be yelled at. They're going to be called names, that kind of thing. I don't want that. I want you to be able to talk about it because you can't get through it if you don't talk about it. You just can't. And you need to get through it. You have to have the conversation to get through it, one way or the other. And it does matter. Ganjan said, racism is a tool of divide and conquer. True. Absolutely accurate. And it has been for decades. Decades. It has been for centuries. Decades. Look at me. Yeah, it has been for decades. I completely agree. Yeah. I think you're right. Yes. All righty. Joel says, Claudia Tenney is not my district, but she'd have my vote if she were. I like Tenney. She's a friend of mine. I've had her on my show. Literally, you put Claudia Tenney Larry Sharpe. She was on my show. Back when I was in the studio, before COVID, I was in my studio in Manhattan at the time. She came on. Yeah. Happy. I like Claudia. I do. She's a friend of mine. Voss knows her too. Yes. Voss also knows her. Yes. Yeah. All righty. Let's see here. You guys. Okay. Oh, this came from this. Okay. Mastermind says, Voss, if you can point out fiscal response Republicans, I'd be more than willing to vote for them. He goes on, says Massey and Tenney. Yep. Nancy Mace. Yeah, that's a maybe on that one. That's a maybe on that one. But I get it. It's a maybe on that one. I'm with you. That might be that could be a stretch, but the rest I get you. That one's a stretch. So yes. Kim says, sorry I'm late, but I'm finally here. I'm glad you came. I'm glad you came. Yes. All righty. Let's see. Andrea says the government ruins everything. Completely true. Completely true. And it keeps going. Kim says, I admire the black culture I got to get acquainted with back in the early 90s. I've watched the culture decay terribly. The war on drugs absolutely destroyed it. The war on poverty was the setup, and the war on drugs finished with the black family. 100% true. No someone's like Mike says, Larry, the worst part is Dems demean black voters, damning anyone voting other than Dem, while also saying there's freedom of choice and they use social pressure to eliminate. True. That's one of the worst parts. It's almost like a how dare you, right? It's almost like, wait a minute, you voted for a Republican, you're a black person?
How dare you?
How dare you, right? I mean, you can't do that. You didn't think I was going to pull that one out, did you, Mike? See? You didn't see that coming. It's fine. I got you. No, you didn't like that, but I did. Absolutely. So, yes. All righty. Grab here if I can. Andrea calls Thomas a national treasure. Yes. That is an accurate statement. He absolutely is. I agree. All right. Let me go and grab a couple more of these if I could. This is actually Michael Smirkanis talking about something that was similar, not the same, but it was based, actually, believe it or not, on how race is changing in America. That was his issue, how it was changing in America. And this, he was talking about Zoran Mandani, believe it or not. And if you remember, he got in some trouble because Zoran literally put on his college entry examination, entry application, that he was African American and Indian, that he was both of those two. People got mad. I wasn't mad at that, but some people got mad at that.
Today in New York City,
It's been 18 days since Zohran Mamdani shocked the political world by taking the Democratic nomination for mayor of New York City.
Yep.
And almost every day since, there have been new revelations about the 33-year-old Democratic socialist.
He's a youngin'. 33 years old is young, no doubt.
Some more significant than others. I would place at the top of the list his refusal to condemn the phrase globalize the intifada. While he claims it to be a call for Palestinian human rights and says it's not the language he himself uses, many see these words as an incitement of violence against the Jewish people and their institutions. When Mamdani said the U.S. Holocaust Museum referred to the Jewish resistance against the Nazis with a similar term, the museum said he was exploiting their history to sanitize the phrase.
Now, why would he bring this up? Because now they're saying, well, he's now using this. This is Jewish versus Muslim. So we got that going on, but we got more.
Also problematic, his desire to, quote, shift the tax burden to richer and whiter neighborhoods. And from an old clip recently resurfaced, another one of his goals, seizing the means of production, classic Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels. In the category of insignificant, or at least not disqualifying, in my opinion, I would put the political views that he expressed in his college newspaper, giving the finger to the Christopher Columbus statue, forays into international.
Now, I bring up all these things, right, to say, wait a minute, why does this stuff matter? Because he's going to the next piece, we're just checking boxes.
Diplomacy, such as his wish to arrest Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, opposition to the existence of billionaires while being himself a child of privilege, posting from a tasteless parody called Punjabi Christmas Album Hits, and one horrendous rap video. But then there's the more complicated matter of his college application to Columbia University. Some found this disclosure damning. To me, it speaks to a much larger issue. Relying on hacked materials, the New York Times revealed that when asked to identify his race, Mamdani checked the box that he was Asian and also checked the box that he was Black or African American.
Well, he is Indian, India is in Asia. He is physically, right, ethnically, he is Indian, so that is Asian, it's true. He was also born in Uganda, which makes him African, and he was a Ugandan citizen. So he was born in Africa and came to America. So I get why he was doing it.
He then wrote in Ugandan. Mamdani was born in Kampala, Uganda, the son of an Indian-Ugandan father and an Indian-American mother. They raised him in Uganda, South Africa, and New York City. Mamdani told the Times that he did not consider himself to be Black or African-American, but rather an American, who was born in Africa. He said that he was trying to represent his complex background amongst the limited choices he.
The first parts that we talk about Mamdani, I am concerned about. But this whole thing is about this piece. And this part bothers me because I think Smirkanish is correct. If I'm going to be worried about Mamdani, all the things he said before is that Smirkanish said earlier, those are all things to be worried about. But this made a big piece. Why? Because I think Ganjan's right. They're using this to divide and conquer. And this is the most unimportant piece about Mamdani. If I rank this with all the things about Mamdani, this is like number 20, maybe 25, 50. I don't know. It's nowhere near the top 10, but it's making all the rounds.
Was presented. And in that regard, he's not alone. Immigration and intermarriage have made it increasingly difficult for many to categorize race and ethnicity as distinguished from nationality. It's all part of being in the midst of a, quote, diversity explosion.
Yes.
I borrow that phrase from demographer William Fry.
And this is a thing that we're also seeing in America, right? So many people, so many of them, they don't fit in a box anymore. And that's a problem. When you don't fit in a box, how can government divide and conquer you? When you don't fit in a box, how can we use identity politics? When you don't fit in a box, how can I decide how evil you are for not voting the way your box is supposed to vote? Yes. Big
Fry
problem.
wrote a piece last year for the Brookings Institute analyzing the 2020 census data. It turns out the 2010s were the first decade in U.S. history when the white population declined, and the second consecutive decade when it declined for the under 18 crowd.
Yep.
When I interviewed Fry on my SiriusXM radio program.
And this is a piece that people are getting mad about. A lot of people are saying, well, see, you're destroying the white population, right? Oh my God, a replacement there, whatever. A lot of this, I mean, some of it's immigration out, but a lot of it is just people having sex with other people who aren't part of their race. A lot of it is that.
He told me that with continued intermarrying, it's become harder for kids to identify with a particular race. He expected this would mean diminished attention paid to race, which would become less important politically and socially.
Yes, and that's a big piece. Josh says something amazing. He says, 44-year-old Reform Dem here. I'm only allowed to talk about LGBT since I'm LGBT. I have to shut up about immigration, taxes, and that isn't gay. I was supposed to be my mouth shut. Yes. Yes. The amount of times that when I'm in that world, same world, it's I am identified as an African-American this, an African-American this, an African-American this. I'm supposed to say, as a black man, blah, blah, blah. I'm supposed to say that, but you don't hear me say that kind of garbage unless it's very specific, right? There are times when my race does matter, and when it does, I say it. But every day, not really, right? There's sometimes when it does, and I say it. When it does matter, you don't hear me being afraid to bring up my race when it makes sense. I do. It just usually doesn't matter. That's the truth.
In any case, looking at present trends, it's a foregone conclusion that by mid-century, if not sooner, no ethnic group will comprise a majority of the United States, a designation currently held by non-Hispanic whites. Indeed, that's already the case for those who are under 18 nationally, and the population of at least 7 states: Hawaii, California, New Mexico, Texas, Nevada, Maryland, and Georgia. In the year 2000,
think about that. Georgia, not New York. Georgia, not New York.
There were only 3 such states. Further backing this up, according to Pew Research, nearly 1 in 5 newlyweds in their 30s in the U.S. had a spouse of a different race or ethnicity in
1 in 5. 1 in 5. While immigration is an issue, who we're sleeping with is a bigger one. 1 in 5. America's racist. 1 in 5 of us is in a mixed marriage, a mixed relationship. How racist are we? I keep telling you how America isn't racist inherently. Again, I want to be clear. Don't get the all police. There are racists in America. Of course there are. But every 5 minutes, America's racist. 1 in 5 of us is sleep with somebody who's not a race.
2015. That number was only 8% in 1980.
8%, less than 1 in 10 in 1980. Now it's 1 in 5. Because you know what America is? Racist.
Separately, Pew found that 1 in 7 infants in the U.S. was multiracial.
1 in 7 infants is multiracial. Racist Americans. Racist Americans.
Or multi-ethnic in 2015. That's nearly triple the share from 1980. And presumably the number is even larger today.
Look at all that. If you look here, black and white, 10%. What?
Hey, all this is leading to widespread confusion when it comes to filling out forms. As the New York Times, responding to Mamdani's situation, put it earlier this week, for many Americans, checking a box won't do.
Yes. Now, why is this good? Because it was always a bad idea. It was always a bad idea. And now it's becoming impossible. And I go, well, great, Larry, that means it'll go away. No, it won't. It's government. Government will simply make more boxes.
The story goes on to note what Mamdani went through, quote, reflects experiences and decisions that have exasperated people across the country. Moreover, while some complain that institutions ask the wrong questions, they also note that forms can demand too much information. Nothing brings all this home like a trip to the doctor's office. Medical intake forms often today have seemingly endless racial and ethnic choices. Here's a typical one. It's from Mount Sinai.
Look at
there
that.
are 123 choices for ethnicity.
123 choices for ethnicity. They'll just make more boxes. They'll make more boxes. That's it. Just make more boxes. Grant says July and Torre, you mean Maj Toure, don't represent the position of most Black Americans. True, but they're still correct, right? Most Americans don't agree with me, Grant, and I'm correct. So the fact that they don't represent them is true. You're not wrong, but I'm still right, and so is July and Torre. But Maj and Erica both still correct. But yes, you're correct. Most Black Americans do not believe that. Most Black Americans still think Democratic Party is the answer. Most still do. It's clear. You're correct, but they're still wrong. And they should change, and they are changing.
That's not a form. That's a Cheesecake Factory menu. And then there's the census. First, they ask if you're of Hispanic, Latino, or Spanish origin. If the answer is yes, that's just the start. Does that mean Mexican, Mexican-American, or Chicano, or Puerto Rican, or Cuban, or another group such as Salvadoran, Dominican, Colombian, or numerous others, most of which are included under etc. After that, you're broken up into white, which could be German, Irish, Italian, Egyptian, etc. That's some etc., right? Or black or African-American, which could be Jamaican, Haitian, Nigerian, Somali, and another continent spanning etc.
Well, the other problem with this is, right, you look at this, is an Egyptian, why is an Egyptian similar to a German, right? Why is a Nigerian similar to an American who's a descendant of slaves out of Georgia? What does it matter? These are becoming more and more useless, which I'm glad they should all go away. Or
American Indian or Alaska Native, wherein you're then asked, to which tribe do you belong? And the next category includes Asians. That would be Chinese, Japanese, Filipino, along with Pacific Islanders, Native Hawaiians, Samoans, and so on. At a certain point, it starts to feel like a Abbott and Costello routine. We're broken up into so many races, ethnicities, and subcategories, you might start to wonder, well, what's the point?
Thank you.
With so many multi-ethnic babies, it's possible the majority might soon throw up their hands and simply check some other race.
Myself, I am black on my father's side, white on my mother's side. Since I've been a kid, I've had to check other. Now I can check either mixed or racial or biracial. I can check that if I want to, or I can check, says check all that apply. So I can check white and black if I want to. But I've been checking other for decades. Decades, right? Or sometimes when there has been the one drop rule, which is if you're not white, you're black. So most of America has called me black. I've been treated by most Americans as black because in America, if you're not white, you're black. That's how that works, right? Generally speaking. So I've been called that most of my life. I don't care. Before it's fine with me, I don't care. But I actually prefer black to African American. I prefer that. But whatever, you can call me African American. I don't care. But my point being, yeah, it's been a problem, and it wasn't valuable then. It's not valuable now. I'm hoping this goes away.
Which is sort of what happened with Mamdani when he applied to college. It's easy to mock his decision to check boxes claiming that he was both Asian and black. Was he trying to game the system? Certainly others have. But in his case, he was Indian by ethnicity, Ugandan by birth, American by nationality. How was he supposed to express that? The real issue is not Mamdani's identity. I say it's the form itself. An antiquated framework that assumes race and ethnicity are cleanly divisible, easily checked, self-evident categories.
Now, why did I bring this up? Because this is mainstream. This is CNN. That's what makes it special. Many of you watching are like, duh, Larry, I've known this for years. Me too. But this wasn't mainstream. This is now mainstream. That is what I want to hear. That is why I like this. I think we made one. Mamdani might have helped us out. See, you guys don't like Mamdani? He might have helped us out. But I'm always trying to find the silver lining, and I think there was one right there. I think it's absolutely true. Ken says, the only people white liberals believe are more racist than Republicans are libertarians. It would be funny if people didn't believe them. Yes, you're right. I completely agree. So Josh says, I just want to be able to speak to black guys like I would a white guy with all the worries of offending or even just saying something stupid. It's riskier, job-wise, to try to get to know your black coworkers. Josh, you have brought up an amazing point. Yes, if we want our country to be better, you're exactly right. You want to be able to talk to your black coworkers, white coworkers, men, women, gay, straight, Hispanic, whatever. Everyone, Asian. You want to be able to talk and get to know all your coworkers. That would make life a better place, right? Of course you'd want to. But now you can't. You can. But it's risky, to your point. Your point is it's risky, right? Because you said the wrong thing, and now you're a racist. You said the wrong thing, you're an hysterophobe. The only good thing is that the backlash is starting to come back, which is good. But I want it to just go away, right? I want it to just go away. I completely agree with that. I agree with that. Josh says it wasn't always that way. 80s and 90s would just mix and mingle more. Agreed. Yes, I completely agree. Things have gotten worse, but I think they're starting to get better. I feel like that's the case. Grant says he's not African, but he is African. He's not African American, right? He is African. He's not African American. That's the issue. So Massman says it's not like Elon Musk was clicking African American on his forms. The issue here is, and I think Grand Regent knows this, there's a difference, right? African American is supposed to be an American descendant of slaves. That's what it's supposed to be. An American. Why? Here's the reason why people don't get this, right? Why? And if you don't know, you should understand this. Why is someone called an Italian American or a German American, but then an African American, not a Nigerian American? Why? Because American descendant of slaves, their culture and their background was removed from them, was ripped from them. They don't know where they came from. I happen to know my area because I did a DNA test. If you don't do DNA tests, you don't know where you come from. But as I said, my last name Sharpe, that's not my African name, even though I'm black on my father's side. It's the name of the people who own my family, right? And many people have that same thing. So that's not a thing. We don't have that. So we just know we're from Africa. So we become African American. So now is a Nigerian who immigrates here an African American? No, they're Nigerian American. They know their heritage. They know where they're from. They have a last name that comes from their tribe. They have a last name that shows their ethnicity. They have that already. You come from whatever. You come from Kenya. You come from Ethiopia. You come from Uganda. You are Ugandan American. You're not African American. But most people don't get that. That's why it's African American versus Italian American, German American, whatever the case may be. An African American is supposed to be someone who is a descendant of slaves. Now, most people don't know that or don't get that. This meaning has been lost. It's just been black people. I understand what happened. I do. I understand it. But it should be understood to be African American is supposed to be you are a descendant of slaves. That's why you don't know what nation or what tribe you come from. Hence, you are African American. And that's why there's a flag, for those who don't know, called a Pan-African flag. So those three colors of black, red, and green. For those of you who have seen that flag, that's called a Pan-African flag. What does that represent? It represents African Americans who don't know where they came from because their culture was taken from them. I hope that's clear on what it's supposed to be. Sadly, it isn't. So to Grand's point, he is African. He's not really African American, but he is African. He's Ugandan American, but he is African. Just saying. So I hope that makes sense. So anyway. All righty. Phil says, Lenny Kravitz, is he Jewish or black? Well, he could check both, couldn't he? In theory. So yeah, maybe. I don't know. All righty. Keep going down here if I can. So many of these I like. Keep going down here. All right. You guys are going a lot of stuff back and forth, which I appreciate. So Patty says, on my 4 children's paperwork when they were born, I put American as nationality and human as a race. Aw. Got phone calls on the first 2, stuck in my beliefs. They are American humans. No more calls after that. Look at you. Look at you. Look at you. I like that. I love that. All righty. Walk down here if I can. Okay. Missy puts the link for the advocates. Yes, please, guys. If you can, please put that link. Please click that if you would. I'm gonna go back to that real fast. Thank you for bringing this up, Missy. The advocates know I keep telling you to take tests. I know I do. I keep telling you to take tests, the advocates. I want you to. It does matter. But because when you share it, it matters when you share it, right? People enjoy it. They want to take those tests. It's great. But there's something else the advocates has too. They also have articles, right? Here, you can set yourself free from propaganda. This was just a couple of days ago. Reading articles about this, right? On self-government. And boom, tells you about issues and concerns, all on self-government. The virtue of selfishness, the steep price of declining civility, right? What does Independence Day mean to you? These are all different individual things you can read that matter to you. And if you find them interesting, share them. If you find these things interesting, share them. They're all free. Head on over to the link that I put in the description. Click that link. Head on over there. Go onto articles. Look right here, articles. Click on the articles and look at what you like, whatever matters to you. Check these out. If any of them move you, share them. Here's what I'm asking. I'm asking you guys, if possible, to share the stuff from the Advocates for Self-Government so that other people can see it. They'll come on, take the quizzes, enjoy. This is free. It's a couple seconds. I hope you guys enjoy some of these things. They're great articles that you can enjoy. Once you're done, if you like the article, if you don't like it, I get it next. If you like the article, then share it. Put it into YouTube, put it onto your Twitter page, whatever the case may be, and get other people to see it and get them to read it and come on board. The more people see this, the more conversations we're going to have, the better we're going to be. You see so much. I spend the time here trying to get people to talk. I want to talk about the idea of respect. I bring it up often. You see it often. How can I have a conversation with you if I don't respect you? I have to have empathy and respect, human empathy and human respect, so that people can go back and forth and turn people and change their minds. Look, would I love for everyone to be libertarian? Of course. But would I accept you just not harming people? I'll take it. How to make that happen? By having conversations. The Advocates for Self-Government does so. Click on the link that I put there so that people know you went there. Share their stuff. It does matter. All right. Let me grab some more comments if I can. All righty. You guys going back and forth a lot. I appreciate this. All right. Mike says, the thing that gets me is black women demonize black men for dating outside their race and voting against Dems. They find both treasonous, yet don't question their actions. Indoctrination is deep. It's a valid point. It's a valid point. I do see a lot of black women get mad when black men date non-black women. I think it's true. They get very upset about it. I see it constantly. Some try to act like they're not, but that's true. But when black women find a white guy, it's all fine. It's you go, girl. I see it all the time. You see it too, right? Absolutely. So I do see it. What I do see it as the part that does bother me, Mike, is when black men and some, and you know some who do, when they return the vitriol and insult black women. That does kind of bother me. I would like black men who date non-black women, which I do too. I date black women and non-black women. I don't care. I've had girlfriends of almost every race, including color. I don't mind. I'm an equal opportunity dater. But if you want to date someone who's not your race, just walk away. Just go, okay, I don't like it, but I'm gonna walk away. And I would like the people who, when they do get yelled at, to just walk away. I'd rather them not start the fight back and forth, and then it gets nasty. I'm sure you've seen it, Mike. It can get nasty. No one insults a black woman worse than a black man. No one does. No one insults a black woman worse than a black man. And I'd rather no insults. You do you and move on. That's my view. We'll see. All right. Michael says, there's a medical reason for one's no ethnicity. Different human genome types respond differently to some medicine treatment. Yes, but not government. Yes, but not government. I agree with you, Michael, but the government needs to know that. Yes. Yeah, correct. And then do a DNA test if it's that important. I agree with you. Yes, 100%. I'm with you. Phil says, my dad went to college in 1974, non-white, and applied at a job in a state in 1980. And he became white and a part of historical oppression from the white male. Really? 1974 were Italians, not white people. Maybe they weren't. I don't even know. Yeah. I don't know. John says, most black Americans need to adopt at least 1/4 of Maj and Eric's worldview. And they believe the two-party duopoly of politics. True. True. Massman Hour says, that's the problem with people. The less that skin tone matters to them, the more their political parties do matter. People are definitely afraid there's no we if we can't point to a they. Oh, interesting. Well, Massman, your point's very valid because people are tribal. That's for sure. Right? I know I say that people aren't racist. I think that's true, not naturally, but they are absolutely tribal. And I think tribal does sometimes shift into racism, particularly when government allows you to. But we could be tribal in many different ways. So yes, Phil says, Larry is Uber Schwarz. I am not that. I do sometimes claim to be. I sometimes do claim myself to be the self-proclaimed emperor of black people. I do that sometimes, but then it's temporary. Then I then step down. I make some kind of decree and then I step down. So I do sometimes appoint myself as the emperor of black people temporarily and then step down afterward. I make my decree. So sometimes I do that, but I'm not Uber Schwarz. That's not what I am. So yes. All right. I do appreciate that. Grant Theft says foundational black American. Also true. Yes. Either ADOS or FBA I think both work. I think I'm starting to like FBI better. I don't know. I'm not sure which one I prefer. But yes, either way, yes, you're accurate. I don't know which one. For those who don't know, FBA does mean Foundation of Black Americans it basically means those who are descendants of slaves, right? Basically, it means that. But yeah, I think both work too. Some people call them freedmen. You see that sometimes, freedmen, Foundation of Black Americans, or ADOS, American Descendants of Slaves. Any of those three, but they're all kind of, yeah, they all could work. So yes. All righty. Okay. Where am I? Okay. Keep going down there. All right. Genshin says, my parents come from the Caribbean and Central America. I'm not African American, although slavery happens in those areas. Yeah, I mean, it depends on the person, right? Yeah. I think it depends on the person. 100%. Yes. All right. Let's see here. John says, unfortunately, this incident will live in my memory, but it was your 2018 campaign where a black woman was calling you a racial slur. It beyond frustrates me. You know, that's funny. When I look at 2018 and 2022, early on in the 2018 campaign, there were a decent amount of racial slurs thrown at me, both in person, but much more heavily online. And the people who got the most upset were the white people in my campaign, particularly white women. Oh my God, they were fuming. I mean, many people didn't like it, obviously, but white women in my campaign were the most triggered. They were, I mean, just ready to pounce. They were so upset. I remember. And, you know, as many of you saw, I bounced off most of it. I knew it was going to come and it was fine. I dealt with it. And I think after maybe the first year, 6 months in that area, the campaign went on for a year and a half. 6 months to a year, give or take, that first time, it kind of went away. And there weren't that many because I didn't really rely on it. I didn't push race at all. I mean, talk about when it's required. I didn't give it any energy and it kind of went away. There were hardly any. 2022, I got my ass kicked. So I hardly had any racial stuff at all in 2022. I maybe one or two things, hardly any. But it was pretty hard in the 2017, 2018 campaign. It was. I'm glad you remember that. Yeah, it was a big deal. Yes. Mike says, sadly, American conflate African American with black or the continent. Yes. Actual Africans don't make that mistake. Yes, Elon and Charlize Theron are African. Yes. Elon doesn't make that mistake. That's true. Yes. They get this difference. Absolutely. Yes. So Regent says, my great grandfather on my mother's side was a slave and his name was Peter Clifton. And he's in the book, The Slave Narratives. Oh, look at that. That's great. I love that. John says, Patty's a legend. Patty doesn't play. Patty does not play. Yes. Christopher says, so how do you feel about the foundational Black American lineage/movement? Look, obviously I'm for the concept. It affects me directly. So of course, right? Of course I feel, of course. And I think the distinction does matter. I think the distinction does matter, right? There is a difference between someone, you might say, why? This is a thing that you'll hear often. And I did a Freedom Fest piece. You can go back on Civil again. I talk about Civil all the time. You can go back in Civil and check out Freedom Fest. And the Freedom Fest pieces on Civil, one of them was me talking about this issue. I had John McWhorter on and two other people. Three people on that panel. Talk about the difference between Black Americans and Black immigrants. But the difference in the two. And there's a difference. You might go, wait a minute, they're both Black. If it's racist, then why does it matter? Well, there's the issue, right? When people come from, say, Nigeria, as an example, and right now Nigerian Americans are very popular coming to America, and Nigerian Americans are actually one of the most successful immigrant groups that are in America right now. When Nigerians come to America, they are self-selecting. They are literally people who are entrepreneurial. That's why they're leaving. They're less risk averse. They're leaving, and they're coming here, most of them with money. Now, there's some exceptions crossing the border illegally. There's some exceptions, but that's almost stopped, right? I mean, the Trump administration has done that well. At least they've stopped it. I mean, those who want the border closed, I guess, good job. But people who are coming here from Nigeria, that's who they are. But African Americans are just the average African American. Not just that. The average African American has a culture and a thought process around them saying, oh, you're one of them. That does exist. If you come from Nigeria, you're probably one of the upper class people. The culture is the opposite. Oh, no, you are great. You should achieve a lot. It's a different issue. So there is a difference. I do see the difference between the two. So, and I think that does matter. So, all right. Okay. Let me keep going down some of these if I can. All right. Patty says, may the Schwartz be with you. That's kind of cute. Phil says, he didn't speak English anyways, and in the 1950s, Italians were like Mexicans today. He had all the challenges of any immigrant, but the system post-1970 viewed all Italians the same as the WASPs. That's true. Yeah, after a certain time, they basically integrated. The Italians, Jews, Catholics in general, eventually decided to do that. Yes. Mike says, "Lol, Larry can't keep up with all the chat conversation. There's so many. You're right. It's going back and forth. I love it. I love it. It goes back and forth. Yes, 100%. Yes." William says, reparations for indentured servants now. Look, William, I'm being very. People have come to me on that when I talk about reparations and stuff like that, such like that. And they say, "Well, my family was Irish or something." I'm like, if you think your group of people deserves reparations, go for it. I'm not mad at you. If you think you can get it, go get it. Good for you. Good for you. Right? Whatever the case may be. Yeah. Patty says, this show is going to make me go check out my family's ancestry update. Oh, I like that. I like that. That's a good one. That's awesome. Yes. So, Roger, thank you for the $5. Larry, I just got here and I don't know what was said, but answer to the show title, Bell. Yes. Also, American Freedman is our actual ethnic name. See, I thought it was Freedman. Right? Yes. That's why I brought that up. So, some people go by Freedman. That's true. But some people go by ADOS, some by FBM, Black Foundation of Black Americans. Yeah. I like the Freedman piece. I think it sounds cool. But I'm okay with any of them. But thank you for that, Roger. Yes. There's actually, isn't there a bureau for that? There's like a government bureau for that. I think, yes. Yes. And I think it doesn't mean Bell yes, it means hell yes. So yes. Roger's about ending all political parties. So yeah, Roger's not just about that. Yes. So yeah. Michael says, Larry, are you doing anything special for Sharpe Way episode 666? Yeah. Larry, it was a joke. Were effectively, indentured servants were effectively slaves. They were not. I want to be clear. They were not. But again, I'm not joking. If you want to go get reparations, go. I'm not mad at you. You do what you think is appropriate. But indentured servants were not slaves. Were not the same type of slaves. Right? And the difference being, and I say this always, indentured servants were not chattel slavery. Chattel slavery is a different type of slavery. That's the difference. It's a difference. That's all I'm saying. There is a difference. So, Mike, okay, there we go. There was an American Freedmen Department in the late 1800s. Okay, I knew it was some kind of department. Thank you for that. That's clear. Yes. All right. Michael, okay. I will be doing special for something. It will be my Thursday show. My team has bugged me to do something different and special. So, yes. I remember some of you were asking me to do something special. I'm going to do something special. I won't tell you what it is, but it will be something special. That's all I'll tell you. Yes. If you guys want to see something interesting, tune in Thursday. It is the special number 666 show. I think you'll enjoy. That's what I'll say. Phil, thank you for $2. Walter Block made a libertarian case for reparations. I think you can. I think you can make a case for reparations, and most people have gotten it. And that's the issue. Most people have gotten it who needed it. So who deserved it, I guess. Michael says reparations are horrendous and resolve nothing. There's no good argument in favor of them and multitudes against. That's not true. There's arguments for. Of course there are. Of course there are arguments for. What are you talking about? I'll give you an example that's a popular one. The German government paid reparations to survivors of the Holocaust. To this day, they still get checks. And if any ever exists, any still alive, they still get it. I know. I used to physically. My mom was German, and she worked for a German bank. At the time, the bank was called Union Bank of Bavaria. That bank has been bought up by probably Deutsche Bank or something. But back in the day, that bank existed, and it literally wrote checks to Jewish people who survived the Holocaust. Tons of money. Japanese internment camps, they got money. Yeah, just tons of it. What does reparations do? What reparations does what should it do? So you're saying, is there no argument? What it should do is make things right. So as an example, if I rob your house, Mike, and I take $3,000 worth of stuff, and then the cops arrest me, couldn't the cops say, hey, Larry, you took $3,000 worth of Mike's stuff. You owe him $2,000. That's your reparations. So I go, okay, I stole Mike's stuff. I went and sold it for drugs. I'm going to now go get a job, get $2,000, get back to you. Is there no argument for that? I took from you. I should return. Of course, there's arguments. Now, you might disagree with reparations for former slaves. I get that, but the concept to think that there's no good argument, there's tons of arguments for it. Of course there are. And, well, how will it work? I mean, these are all different issues, but there's tons of arguments for it. Tons of them. So, Roger says, Freedmen Savings and Trust Bureau. Oh, okay. Vice President Kamala screwed us on that. I sent the story to Sab, who did a story on it. I said, oh, there we go. Okay, I didn't even know that. I knew there was a bureau. I knew there was. I remember it. Right? I remember there was a bureau for it. I remember that existed. So yeah, absolutely. There we go. All right. Oh, Mike goes, actual name was Bureau of Refugees, Freedmen, and Abandoned Lands. Closed, like when the government does anything, get closed. 1872. I recall that's when Black Republicans looked into office. Oh, there we go. Okay. Yeah. There we go. There's some there. Absolutely. All right. Let me go down here if I can. Hold on. John says, Larry, an idea for a slogan. Don't change your party, change your vote, and vote for me. Ooh. I like that. Yes. Massman says, Avas, my main concern about reparations is that the government will start collecting DNA to prove qualifications. They may have to in some way. Right? If there ever was any type of reparations plan, if there ever was one, you would have to do it in a way that you have to make sure the people were actually freedmen. Right? It wouldn't just be, I'm some guy who my family came from Kenya or Nigeria, because you're not a descendant of slaves. So you would have to have American descendant of slaves. You'd have to have some type of something. I don't know how, but yeah, it would be challenging if you did something like that. It would be. So yeah, and I guess the easy way might be that. I guess you might do it. Yeah, I could see it. So Missy says, Larry with Spike Cohen on Civil this Wednesday night, 7/16 at 7 p.m. Eastern. Use code Larry to sub for $25. Yes. Guys, you want to see it? It will be there. I appreciate that. Yes, I will be there. I know I brought up, and we're on Civil. I'm gonna be on Civil, right? And there's something else. We talk about race. I know we have a lot about race, so let me bring this one up if I could. This one is an interesting concept. We've been talking about race here. Civil has this one or two. These are shorts. This is a short on critical race theory, calling critical race theory racist. I know, kind of odd, right? Yes, calling it that. This is from Free the People. The cult of wokeness. Uh-oh.
I have a dream. My 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today.
When Martin Luther King Jr. fought for the civil rights of all Americans, he understood that unchosen attributes like race, ethnicity, and nationality should not divide us. Now, this concept, if you want to check this out, it's a little short. You can enjoy what the concept is. Now, why do I bring this one up? Because generally speaking, if you talk about critical race theory, you only get one or two things. It's exactly correct, always good, all amazing, or the reverse. Oh, it's terrible, it's all bad, everything is bad. The reality of it is, to be forward, if you understand the concept of critical theory, there is some value to it. It. As usual, it isn't all black and white. There's some value to it. Larry, what the hell is the value of this? I'll tell you what the value is. The idea of just critical theory in general is you look through the lens of something, and that's how you judge it, whatever that could be. In theory, you could have a constitutional, critical constitutional theory, meaning you look at everything through the Constitution, right? In theory, our judges are supposed to be that way. So everything's looked at from a constitutional viewpoint. Everything. So wait a minute. Do I want to buy Coke or Pepsi? That's because, how does the Constitution say that? I'm serious. That's what it would be in theory. Critical race theory means you look at everything through the viewpoint of race. So the concept of it is not a bad concept. In fact, there are reasons why you should do that. And CRT, for those of you who don't know, was supposed to be taught in law school, which actually makes sense, right? You want to look through laws through certain lenses. How does this work through here? How does it work through here? And looking through law through race is not a bad thing to do if you're in an academic setting looking at laws. Not a bad idea, right? Constitution, not a bad idea. Through whatever, right? Whatever, economic, right? Looking only economically. Nothing wrong with that. That's not a bad thing in that environment at all. You can get good ideas, concepts, how do you fix laws, all kind of good stuff. The problem is when you take CRT, bastardize it, and put it into regular schools.
That's the problem. CRT needs to be in academia. That's where it should be, right? And Graham brings it up. Yes, looking at structures of a society through a racial lens. Yes, not a bad thing in the right context, right? Totally not a bad thing in the right context. I completely agree. It isn't by default bad, but what they teach in school isn't that. I'm sorry, what they teach in elementary and junior high school and high school isn't that. They basically teach what Michael says. CRT, cultural Marxism, it's basically what they teach. I call it crap, critical race crap, whatever. It's not good. It basically, what they actually teach is, and if you think I'm making this up, you can do your own homework on this. My kids went through it. My kids are old enough and young enough they went through it. Basically, you are a victim based upon your race. That's what they're teaching. That's not critical race theory. It's what they call CRT and what they teach. And that is a problem because now they've destroyed what actual CRT is, which CRT, again, isn't by default wrong. Grand Region is correct. In academia, it's a valuable tool. But first of all, it's not what it is, and it's taught in elementary school and junior high school. That it shouldn't be. And it's just basically, oh, you are of a certain ethnic group, you are by default a victim. No, that's not the right answer. It becomes bad. Mastermind says critical race antagonistic profiling. Yes, crap. Thank you. That's good. Critical race antagonistic profiling. Crap. That's what it actually is. It's not valuable in grades K through 12. It just isn't. It's not. And it's not being taught right anyway in those grades. And the people don't know how to do it. John says critical race asinine poison. Yes, absolutely. Oh, CRS, critical race shaming. Yes, it's nothing but bad. It doesn't work in the context we put it. They've been teaching CRT in law school for decades. And again, not a bad thing in that environment. Grand Region is correct. You should look at structures through a lens of race. Of course you should. Because you might wind up having racial outcomes. You could have systemic racism. So you should look through it. Of course you should. But what does that have to do with some 9-year-old? It doesn't. It just makes things bad. So yeah, it just makes things bad. It doesn't work at all. But anyway, you can find this stuff on Civil. That's why I brought this up. It does matter, guys. Popping on Civil, I know I'll bug you guys about it, but head on over there. You'll see me on Wednesday on it. Join Civil, CIVL.com. Click that code. It's a green button. Click that. Put in code Larry, LARRY, 50% off, $25 for a year. You can go and Grand Region, if you don't like it, you can go there and you can add a comment and say how bad it is. You can comment on it too. You can start a conversation over there. So start a conversation over there and get mad at people if you want to. They'll actually listen. I'm not joking. They'll actually listen. So yeah, they will actually listen. It's okay. They will actually listen to it. So anyway, I want to put that piece up if you guys can see it if you want to. I do appreciate all your time and energy you guys have been putting on this. I really do. All right. As I always say, button that is like, please do so when you can. I bring it up often. Every single time you do it. Mr. Rhythm likes it better. Liberty says, my father was adopted, so I don't know what he was. I was adopted also. My mother's great-grandparents came from Sicily. Both her parents were Sicilian. That's all I need to know. I'm not spitting on a test to find out. I did. And I know that from my father's side, my ancestors come from the Hausa tribe, which is right now in current modern-day Nigeria and Cameroon. So that's where I am ethnically from that area. That's what I know. I don't know anything else about that, but do I have like relatives there? Maybe. I guess if I go in the area and do a bunch of DNA tests, I might find like a distant cousin or something. Who knows? Maybe. But that's where my people come from. That's what I know, right? That part I know. So, all right. Let me see if I can go down here. I like you guys' crap thing. That's actually kind of cool. It's kind of funny. So, all righty. I covered that piece. I think. Okay, there we go. To the titular point, why should minorities vote Democrat? Chat in the videos, and Stephen A. Smith highlight often that there is no valid reason because media says so. There's an emotional reason why, Mike. And the point I want to bring up is a lot of people don't realize or don't want to accept that politics is both logical and emotion. And emotion is both. It's absolutely both. And if you're people do vote based on feels. And if you're told your entire life, well, Democrats care about you and Republicans hate you. Well, unless you're active, like reading, looking, figuring things out, most people go by their environment. If your environment tells you this, that's how it works. I remember when I was a kid, My mom hated Republicans. Why? Because we grew up in a black neighborhood, and they did. So done. That was how my mom thought. Okay, I guess Republicans bad. Why? Because people around me said so. That was it. My mom wasn't paying attention. I don't mean to be mean. I'm just saying that's what she thought. That's just true. That's what she thought. So she hated Republicans. Why? Everyone told us Republicans are bad. Garin says, Sharpe, I'm also Hausa and Fulani Hausa all over Africa. One of the most widely dispersed people. There we go. There we go. I like that. So maybe we're related, my friend. Perhaps we are. We might actually be related. Missy says, do you want some Sharpe Way swag? You can. Head over to Zazzle, put in Larry Sharpe, put in Sharpe Way. Click that link. You can get some cool stuff. Maybe a mug, t-shirt, whatever you want. You can get some swag if you want. I do appreciate it. 100% if you want to. Yes. Mike says, Larry, you're describing an abusive, codependent relationship. Them take you for granted and use black for them advantage, but love them anyway. Depends upon who it is, right? In this case, my mom was white, right? My dad was black. And my mom hated Republicans because she grew up in a black neighborhood. And well, she came to America in a black neighborhood. And so she just thought, well, that's what everyone told her. So that's what she believed. So I don't know. It's only abusive and codependent if you recognize it. Remember, well, now it's different. But in the past, I should say, a lot of people weren't political. They didn't see it as dependent. They saw it as, oh, I just vote on November for the president or whatever when they tell me to. I just do it because they didn't care. So it wasn't that they were trying to be codependent. They just didn't know anything. I think a lot of people still that way. Granreachin says, black people aren't stupid. It's not a Democrat brainwashing we have had for a long time to understand how the game is played. Black people aren't stupid. It's not Democrat brainwashing. We've had a long time to understand how the game is played. I'm not sure we're going with that one. I feel like look, black people aren't a monolith, obviously, right? But I feel like with most people, they're just living their life, right? They're just living their life. And then when the time comes, they're supposed to vote. So they go vote. And I think they go, oh, the Democrat guy, I saw him here last week or last month, whatever, because it's voting time and Democrats show up. So I guess that guy cares. So they vote for the Democrat. And the Republicans used to never show up. Now sometimes Republicans actually show up. Trump was the one who actually started that. So when Trump pops up, I think, yeah, maybe they say, well, maybe I can vote for the Republican, maybe because the Republican showed up. So he goes on to say, I was speaking about why black people vote Dem. They just see them as lesser two evils. Yeah, good. I'll add that piece too. Yes. If they don't see any real value, and I think so many people, not just black people, but so many people see voting as why bother. I guess I'll do it because like it's my duty or something. I guess I'll do it. Okay, neither of them's going to help. Which one's better? Which one's least worse? Well, at least the Dems got like a black guy. All right, I'll do that. I think it's some of that. I think some of that's true. I think some of that's true. So Missy says, vote in the poll, guys. It's almost over. Thank you. Yes, please go vote in the poll. Do I have anything on it? Can I see the poll at all? Can I even see the poll? Is it already over? I can't even see it anymore. Maybe it's still here. Maybe the poll's done. Hold on. Oh, there it is. Yep. Yep. Okay, there we go. Yep, I see the poll. Looks like no, president does not depend on passes is winning right now. Do you guys want to win? Poll's going to close soon. Yes. So John says, nobody was talking about the stuff like then like we do now. What? Internet. They just had their minds made up and only select handful flip-flopped. Yeah, or they often did it all something else. They also did it on vibes. Like the guy would show up and say something cool. The gal would show up and say something cool. Oh, okay. I guess that guy cares. Showing up was much more important. I mean, it's important now too, but I think then it was too. So yeah. Mastermind Hour says, I'm about this far from giving up on voting altogether. This is true story, guys. I was going to give up on voting. Gary Johnson pulled me in 2012. I was ready to stop too. I was ready to end it too. I was like, I am just done. Why bother? Who cares? Nothing ever changes. I was ready to stop too. I was. Hearing Gary Johnson speak actually made me rethink, right? Hearing Gary Johnson speak made me actually think. Yeah. And that's when I turned around and became a libertarian. 2012 was when I became libertarian. So I've been a libertarian now 13 years. So yeah, 2012, hearing Gary Johnson speak. K. John says, Mastermind. Oh, that's kind of cool. Mastermind Hour. That's actually cool. My mom's side's from the UK too. Also have Polish roots. I'm a real mutt. I heard somebody say once, a couple years back, and I forgot it. He said, excuse me, someone said, well, what's your background, whatever. And he called himself, this is again, himself calling it, he called himself a Euro mutt. And I thought, that's kind of a cool way of saying it, a Euro mutt. Because like he was a bunch of European things. He said, I'm a Euro mutt. I thought it was kind of cool. So, yeah. All righty. Michael says, there are still fortunes today in family trust built on a slave trade. That is what it looked for slave reparations. Oh, look at that. There's an idea right there. See, there's ideas all over the place. What are you talking about, Mike? Lots of ideas. Tons of them all over the place. I think you can find it. Yes. Robert says, Larry, it's not just slavery, but the accrued disadvantage that came after. Agreed. I'm not saying you're wrong at all. In fact, my argument, Robert, to be forward is, I think what destroyed Black America worse than slavery was the apartheid after. I'm not joking. And people say, what? Slavery was the worst. I actually think it wasn't the worst. I mean, it was terrible, of course. But if you look at what happened today, this is magical world, Robert, just stay with me. Imagine in my imaginary world I'm making up here, this magic world, that when slavery ended in 1865, America went, you know what? We're sorry. That sucked. Hey, you slave owners, we're just going to take the land the slaves worked for you, and we're going to give that land back to all you slaves, freed now. Take that land and the 40 acres and a mule idea, and all these mules that the American army has that don't need anymore. Guys, take a mule. And you know what? You're just like us. No special rules, no special nothing. Good luck. If we had just done that, no apartheid, no nothing. Just that's it. Good luck, guys. And we treated them like anybody else, right to vote, all that stuff. Just doing that, Black Americans would be fine now. They'd be fine now. I mean, of course, I'm not taking slavery away, but they will be fine now. Now they'd be fine. Because the big difference is once Black people were no longer slaves, in their minds, well, now we're the same as white people. Now we're fine. Now we're good. We can now get ours, right? That would have been amazing. That's not what happened. They said, oh, you're not slaves? Yeah, but you're still not humans. But you're still not citizens. But you're still not this. But you're still not that. But you're still, that's what happened. So I would actually argue that the apartheid afterwards was actually what destroyed the current Black family. If there's anything, was that concept. That's just my view, Robert. I mean, I wouldn't say it wasn't just slavery. I would say slavery relative to the apartheid. Lots of people in general have been enslaved at one point in their lives. Many people have been at one point, and they were able to bounce back because they went back on their heritage, went back on everything, went back on their families, and they rebuilt themselves. It's a common thing. We didn't get that. So yeah. Grand Reason agrees. He goes, yes, Sharpe, Jim Crow and Reconstruction was worse. The burning of Black towns, yes. Political tools like redlining and the highway Act, yes. Killed Black senators as well. Sure, that's my point. Yes, I agree. We're on the same page. Same page. That was definitely that was far worse. That was far worse. Yes, I really think that was far worse than slavery. I mean, as bad as slavery was, not saying it was fine, but people have recovered from it. The psyche of the Black family wasn't crushed by slavery, believe it or not. And even Thomas Sowell says it. It was other things afterwards. That was worse. I agree. Kim says, I'd actually given up on voting twice. There we go. Only reason I voted in 2024 was RFK Jr. Not sure if I'll vote in the future. Okay, well, you know what? Hopefully we'll make that happen. Hopefully there'll be enough people here that will make you want to do that. Yes. Matt Manalo says, do you think that any of you are free right now? So not paying tax on the things you already own. I think freedom is relative. I think you're right. Your point's a valid one, right? Try not paying tax on what you own. Try not paying property tax. Try not paying income tax. But again, relative to something like indentured servitude, way better. Relative to slavery, way better. Relative to chattel slavery, way better. Yeah, absolutely, 100%. So Phil says the 1950s, it was more intact Black families by percentage than white. Is that true? Wow. I don't know if that makes sense. I would believe it. I mean, the Black family was still a unit, right? Was a unit. It was still a unit. Jim Crow tried to destroy that. Slavery tried to destroy that, and it couldn't. But The war on drugs, the war on poverty, totally destroyed it. Totally destroyed it. Yes, absolutely. Mike Hesbadney says Jim Crow was less damaging to the black community and welfare. Thomas Sowell said that. Thomas Sowell actually said that. He said that, if I remember his words right, I'm going to get a little bit off. He said the black family survived centuries of slavery, decades of Jim Crow, but was destroyed by progressive liberal policies. The war on drugs and the war on poverty is what destroyed the black family. That's true. Yes, that's true. Yes. Roger says it. Before integration, we as a community were tight-knit. You're not wrong. And I said it before. I'll say it again. You look at Killer Mike. He said it. He was explaining why there was value in segregation. He's like, and he wasn't pro-segregation. But he was saying in segregation, you had to have people who own stuff in the town because you couldn't use the white ones. You had to have a black lawyer. You couldn't use a white one. Had to have a black shoemaker. You couldn't use a white one. Had to have a black diner owner. Could use a white one. You had to have black people who did all the things. You had to have that because you couldn't use the white ones. So yeah, it's a valid point. Mike says, yes, black families were strong until about the 1970s, thanks to the war on poverty and state aid moving black fathers from the family. True. There's a horrible joke now saying that a whole lot of women now in America have decided that their husband is going to be the government. And it's a joke, but it's based on something real. Yeah, it really is. I agree. Yep. Roger says, Jefferson defined liberty as when the government fears the people. Libertarians define freedom as free from the government rule. The left will say freedom is your life free from corporate rule. Define freedom as, hold on, when the people through direct democracy have cooperative control and ownership over the government and the economy. I could see all those. If any of you want to see something, there was a chat that me, Maj Touré, and Cornel West did at Freedom Fest a couple years back. And it was an idea of freedom from versus freedom to. Very good. One of the best chats we had. And we covered a lot of that kind of concept right there. We covered a lot of that, those ideas. And it went also from freedom to also freedom for, all of those combined. So I think it was a really good one. Guys, I'm going to ask you if you could click that button known as like. I know I have many times. Please do so if you would. That's something else here if I could. Finally, I'm going to ask you one more thing. You know the algorithm loves after the live if you put a comment underneath, right? The algo rhythm loves that tremendously. If you would do that, it helps a lot. I'm going to ask you, what do you think about black people in America, black Americans voting Democrat? What do you think about it? Is it right, wrong, smart? Should they stop? Should they vote Libertarian? Should they vote Republican? Should they stop voting? Should they hold Democrats accountable? Any of those things. I appreciate it. Remember, if this is not live, there's going to be 2 videos that pop up right here. And when they pop up, please click on one of them and watch immediately for about 8 to 10 minutes. The algo loves that too. I'll be on tomorrow at 7 p.m., then only on Civil on Wednesday, and in a special show on Thursday at 7. I will see you all very soon.